What is up, Sooner Nation? I am Casey Mallon, and you are now, come on, in a Sooner state of mind. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA, to political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Sooner state of mind, family, what is good? Since it costs a lot to win and even more to lose, you and me bound to spend some time wondering what to choose. Oh, brutality, folks. Rolling through the aftermath of the complete beatdown that was the Red River rivalry. 34-3, one stinking field goal. And I think this whooping felt much worse than the one from just a couple years ago. At least in that game, we knew we didn't have a quarterback. We knew we wouldn't be able to do much, but at least we were able to run the ball in that thing and did some wildcat, at least got the ball up and down the field. Questionable decisions when it came to the red zone, but still we were able to move the football. Spin drift. The Arnie Palmer, half and half, I think they call it. No sugar, little black tea, and just a little lemon in there. It's quite delicious. Spindrift, if you're watching, we are listening. Big fan of beverages on this show. Big fan. Anyways, coming off one of the most disappointing losses in quite some time. And I'm not really sure how to feel about the season moving forward. I had such high expectations for the game last week. I knew it was going to take a really good effort to win that thing. Texas is a very good team. But nowhere in what I thought about the game did I figure we would not be able to compete. And, you know, that disastrous second quarter after that, it was completely done. And I thought it might be difficult, but I never thought like we'd get blowed out by that. So I think the most disappointing thing on that game, or one of them, there's plenty to be disappointed about, was the lack of creativity on the offensive side of the ball. I figured with 2 weeks to prep for that game, they would have a bunch of stuff ready for Hawkins to take into that game. Dial up some plays, figure out what he likes best in the offense, and go to that. And I didn't see anything. Didn't feel like we built anything in that 2 weeks off. There was no success in anything we did. I don't know if there is any rhyme or reason to the game plan that they went in there with. Did they feel good about what they brought to the game? It didn't feel that way for me watching, because absolutely nothing worked. Did we not anticipate what we were going to see from Texas defensively? Did we not have a few things to try? I didn't see any creativity out there. Now, I haven't watched the All-22, so I don't know if we had guys just screaming wide open, or, you know, I know on a few plays things were close that didn't work out, but, and I know we've had a ton of injuries, and at some point we got to quit talking about them, although it's hard. 5 receivers down, and the offensive line has been in shambles. But we had 2 weeks with the same starters. They were prepared. I know you don't get ready in just 2 weeks, but should have had a little something. This team has an identity crisis. When is the last time an Oklahoma offense has been this bad, especially when the defense has been this good? Now, the defense had their share of problems in this game too, but I'm sure that's getting old for them to go out there and keep grinding and doing these things and not getting the other side of the ball to pick things up. So we can't run and we can't throw. How are we going to generate any offense if we can't run or throw? I don't know. Is it a scheme? You know, I'm not usually one of these reactionary cats that flips out and starts wanting to clean house and fire everybody and move on, but Jackson Arnold took a lot of heat for the lack of productivity in this offense. And we're seeing both quarterbacks really struggle to get anything going with this team. At least Hawk isn't turning the ball over, but maybe he has to take a couple more chances. And maybe that's what we were seeing out of Arnold. It's not much there. Just got to do it, got to try, got to generate some kind of offense here. It's definitely frustrating. This is Oklahoma, man. And you can turn on any game and watch offenses moving up and down the field, scoring points, and every single thing is a struggle for us. And everything was a struggle for these running backs when the line wasn't healthy, when JFA was in there. Now the line is healthy. Still a struggle for these running backs, and we can't get anything going. Did we come into the season with the wrong philosophy? I don't know. But it is not good enough, and it won't be. In competition, this schedule is not getting any easier, people. It's getting more brutal. I mean, we'll get into the South Carolina game in a minute, but this is one we chalked up as a dub, and I'm not sure. You know, I'm usually never a defeatist, and I'm always a positive cat. And I always think we have a chance in everything. I just don't know where the points are going to come from. How much longer can we expect this defense to hold up? You know, and things have crept in there too. We saw a lot of missed tackles on Saturday, and Texas missed a couple opportunities in that game as well. There were some plays to be had that Ewers just missed, especially early. And then it didn't look like a lack of effort tackling, but still a ton of missed tackles. These guys are on the field a lot, man. They're still holding up their end of the bargain, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple plays to be made by this defense too that didn't get made. So it's not just on the offense, and you can't point it to one thing, but overall, the offense has to get better. This does not work. What's Littrell doing? You know, is it all on him? I mean, we heard the same gripes with the Jeff Lebby offense last year. You're never going to please this entire fan base, but we should be able to produce points. 20 points a game is not too much to ask for. It should be more than that. We've just never seen this lack of offense. 20 years? Maybe. Had a couple outliers here and there, but overall, we could always count on it. And now it's in shambles. Co-offensive coordinators. I don't know what that looks like during the week. How much input does Joe John have in this thing? Any? Or is Seth strictly calling the plays. There's not one thing that this offense can hang its hat on that they do that is part of their identity. Not one thing. And Joe John, I know the word is he's a rising star among the coaching ranks, but last year, maybe get that pass because the health at the position was just not there. This year, Roberts and Sharp were supposed to bring in that veteran leadership that we needed and playmaking ability. I see a lot of poor blocking from that position. They're not a big part of this game plan either. We can't draw plays to get these guys little 5-7 yards, anything. There's got to be some simple concepts that we should be able to just get that are money. There's nothing there. And this position doesn't seem to be developing, and I don't know what the injury status is with some of the young guys, but are they getting on the field? They're not contributing either. And I know we are decimated at receiver. Top 5 are out, all right? But those are still 3- and 4-star players that came to the University of Oklahoma because they were some of the best in the biz in high school. That's why they're there. We can't get these guys making plays. I don't know. I am completely frustrated. I had a lot of expectation coming into this season. We knew we had an outstanding defense. Thought if we could just get solid play out of Arnold, we would be good. I didn't anticipate not being able to run the ball at all. But we cannot run the ball at all. Is it the athlete? I don't think so. I mean, I know they have to do stuff on their own too, but so many times you're seeing these cats get blasted in the backfield. And then when there is an opportunity to make the play, it's not happening. Now, granted, there were some turnovers in this game. It basically all fell apart in the second quarter. And you go from 3-0, 7-3, whatever, to 21-3, 24-3. Just it got out of control pretty quick. Could have Texas put the accelerator down a little bit and really made this thing bad? I don't know. Defense is pretty good. That is a really good defense. They didn't have their best game last week, but there were still bright spots out there. But you didn't see them intimidating that Texas offense or even disrupting it. Texas took a lot of what they wanted, a lot of big runs, and a lot of just doing whatever they needed. So, but like I said, without this defense, who knows what the season would look like. And no, it's not all doom and gloom. We're still 4-2. But where are these other wins going to come from? Got a South Carolina team coming to town on Saturday. Is playing pretty good football. I don't know what we're going to do against those guys. And what will be the final straw? It sounded like BV was going to let this thing ride out for the rest of the season, which, it's too early to hit the eject button on the season. 4-2. Still, the dream of the playoff is not dead yet. We run this table, we'll be in that thing. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Do I believe it can? Trying to convince myself of that. I don't know if I believe it. I haven't seen anything offensively that makes me think that it will be there. Have they just been holding back on this offense, scared to turn the ball over? Let's let it rip, because what we're doing, this conservative approach, if that's what it is not working. We do have playmakers on this offense. I don't know if they're getting the opportunity. I don't know what the hell is going on with it. I'm very frustrated by it. But there's still time. I guess that's what's most disappointing about what came out against Texas is I didn't see, a lot of, oh, that's a nice play. Oh, that's tricky. That's good. I can see where this thing is going. There was none of that. None of it. And now with the heat on the offense, that's bringing heat on BV. He brought in these cats. He wanted them there. That's fine. He's earned the right to do that. But now the heat's coming down on him too. I still think BV is the right guy for this job. I love what he's doing with the program. Think he's getting the right type of kids in. He's doing the right things. He's completely overhauled that thing, and he picked up an absolute mess when he got there. And everybody wants to microwave results these days. Oh, you should go, from terrible year to championship contender the next. This is third year, and we've been building that defense, and we're seeing the fruits of that build. But the offense is completely regressed. I don't know if I believe the stories on the DG situation. Wasn't forced out, wasn't asked to leave. He did that on his own. I don't know if I believe that. Could we have afforded to keep him? I don't know that either. I don't know what kind of deal he's gotten. I know Oregon, if Phil Knight and Nike got the deepest pockets imaginable, and they're trying to build that winner, and they can afford to write the checks. And that's kind of what it's becoming in college football. They got to figure that out, but that's a whole nother diatribe. That's another rant. But nonetheless, we had one of the top QBs in the country. He's playing better than anybody. We saw what he did against Ohio State. What'd I say? If it's going to be close, dime time. All that dude does is deliver. Last year in the Texas game, over 100 yards on the ground, some huge back-breaking runs. We didn't see any of that at Hawkins. I think our longest play of the day was 13 yards, something like that. This is Oklahoma, people. We could have used that veteran leadership for this team this year with the defense that we had going into the SEC, knowing what was on the line. I don't know if the effort was there to try to keep DG in the mix. Maybe it was. Will we ever find out? I don't know. What do I know? I know that dude is balling out right now for Oregon, and his team is number 2 in the country. And we have that dude. Were we worried about keeping these recruits happy? It's hard to say. The truth is out there. Will we ever find out? I don't know. But man, I do believe that DG could make this offense function even with that lack of the run game. He can make the right decision and make those throws. And we wanted to run this guy out of town last year too. You know how many times on social media you saw DJ ain't it. This guy, blah, blah, blah. So he can't throw a bomb 70 yards downfield. Big deal. I need my quarterback to make good decisions, and I need him to execute. Don't turn the ball over and get the plays that are there. Football is simple. It is a simple sport. You can get into the complexities of scheme, blah, blah. Comes down to 2 things. Don't turn the ball over. Don't have penalties. If you can eliminate those 2 things, you are going to be in every damn football game you play. But you got to be able to take the gimmies. You have to hit your proverbial free throws. That's why they are free. And we had a cat that could do that above and beyond. And now he's at a different OU, and he's taken down some of the best teams in the country. And unless there is a complete disaster in their future, which I don't anticipate happening, that Oregon squad will be in the 12-team playoff with a very good opportunity to win the whole damn thing. But here we are now. What do we do now? DG ain't walking through that door. Baker Mayfield ain't walking through that door. Where do we go now? Oh, wow, where do we go? I don't know. I don't have answers. Does anybody have answers to this? I don't know. It's very frustrating, especially with the expectation that we had on this season and the little taste of JFA we got in the bowl game. The good, there was a little bad, but the good. At what point, and I'm not saying bench Hawkins or any of this, but at one point is that competition back open? It's hard to say what exactly is wrong with this, and there's no good going back and forth and playing, the QB game. I don't know if Arnold would be any more successful in here. And I love Hawkins' tools. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. But what are we doing right now? I don't think he didn't look in over his head on Saturday by any means. But I can't believe there were just no plays to be made out there. And if there weren't, then we have to look to the coaching staff. And if this continues to finish the season the way it's going, then decisions will have to be made at some point. But as for right now, we got Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks coming to Normantown on Saturday. Back in the early time slot. SEC's like, until this team plays a little bit better. Back to the morning with you. BetOnline has the Sooners as 2.5-point favorites, which is supposed to get 3 points for home games. I don't know if I feel like OU is the favorite in that game. South Carolina has been playing decent football. What have the Sooners been doing? Not decent football. Danny Stutzman did say they had a players-only meeting this week. I like that type of leadership out of Stutz. He is the ultimate team guy. He's accepting that leadership role. Will that be enough to do something about it? I hope so. Like I said, everything is still right there for the taking. Will we get back into the SEC championship? Probably not. But we could get into that playoff. Just got to run this table. Now, South Carolina, 3-3. Losses, single score loss against LSU earlier in the season. Got blowed out by Ole Miss a couple weeks ago, and then had Bama on the ropes last week with a chance to win that game. This team put up 25 points on Bama last week. They put up 33 against LSU, and they put up 31 against Kentucky. We're going to be able to shut those cats down? I don't know. Are we going to be able to score on them is the bigger question. Saturday's got to be the best game we've seen out of these guys so far. I know Sooner Nation is reeling right now. And it does not feel good. And it is completely disappointing. We're going to find out a lot about this team on Saturday. A lot about this coaching staff, too. The whole world is down on them. Or shouldn't say the whole world. The whole Sooner Nation. And those dumbass Beavos get to hold the hat for a year. We got bigger issues than that right now. If we can get our stuff together, I get another shot at those punks later. Would that be sweet? But what to do against Carolina? They're not getting stellar QB play. They can run the rock a little bit, but they cannot throw that well. So that's at least something. It's pretty decent defense there. It's a huge game. It is. It was huge. It is a big game, and depending what happens on Saturday, I think we'll know a lot more about how our season is going to play out. What team shows up on Saturday? Never thought in a million years that we would finally get our defense that we've been longing for a long time. And now we cannot do anything on offense. So South Carolina comes to town this week. Next week is at Ole Miss. Not looking forward to that trip to the SIP. And then we get, our gimme against Maine. Okay. And then at Missouri, which is a winnable game if we can do anything on offense. And then we host Bama, who's been beatable if you can score a bunch of points on them. And then at LSU for probably a night game, which is going to be tough. Those could be 4 losses. Or it could be 4 wins. Have to figure this thing out. And if not, big decisions need to be made. This is a beatable team. This is a winnable game. It's homecoming. We're doing the whiteout. Maybe we get healthy. There's some murmurs. You remember murmur last week that we might have Deion Burks back for this game. Burke. Hey, Burke. We could use him. Can we get the ball to him if he's back? Oh, no. Not feeling great, but you know what? I root for my Sooners. Win, lose. I was going to say draw, but there are no draws. But if there were, I would still root for them. That being said, man, we got to see it. We got to see it. We are 123rd in passing yards and 100th in rushing yards. Tied for 97th in points for Oklahoma people. We'll see. We shall see. Handful of some pretty good games this weekend. Miami at the Lou. Miami 4.5-point favorites on the road. Ooh, Okie State at BYU, man. At least we're not Okie State. The wheels are falling off there. Although they could go to BYU and get a huge win. I don't think that's going to happen, though, but that might be. Can their season be saved? I don't know. Could we see those busters in a ball game? Are we going to get to a bowl game, dude? We might not even get to a bowl game if we don't figure some stuff out. What else? Nebraska at Indiana. The Hoosiers. Who saw that coming? They're 6.5-point favorites. Nebraska's on the road. They're getting there. They got their QB dialed in. Get that offense going a little bit. Brutal loss to the Illini, but they recovered from that. This will be a huge statement win for those Huskers. Be a huge statement win for Indiana, too. A lot of red in that game. Alabama at Tennessee. BetOnline has Bama 3-point favorites on the road. Tennessee's kind of struggled a little bit. Were they a little overrated going into this season? They've shown that they can play well, and they've also shown that they can lose to Arkansas. This would be a huge statement win for hyping the Vols. The loser of that game's in trouble. Can you imagine if Bama goes to Tennessee and loses? Wow, dude. That would be brutal. I don't know. There's going to be a couple good teams in the SEC that do not make the playoff. Ooh, Michigan 3-point favorites on the road at Illinois. I think if I'm a bet online type of guy, which I am, I might look at the Illini in that game. I like getting 3 points at home. Come on. What else? Oh, Colorado at Arizona. Arizona's 3-point favorites. The Buffs, man, that was an exciting game. That's a fun team to watch. Thought they had it last week. Nope. They've had, over the last couple seasons, some of the wackiest finishes to games, man. But they are fun to watch. That was a hype scene there. Too bad they couldn't beat those Wildcats. It looked like they were gonna. LSU at Arkansas. Is Arkansas turning this thing around? Is LSU turning this thing around? They've been really solid. Could have probably beat SC. Probably should have beat SC in that game to start the season. And then how different will we be thinking about those guys? But we're going to see them in a month, and I'm not looking forward to it. Any more games? Oh, yeah. Georgia at Texas. Could this be a trap game for the Beavos? It's hard to say that it will be with Georgia coming to town. Georgia 4-point dogs in this, but Beavos are riding all high and mighty, coming off the stomping of the Sooners at our expense. We're making those chumps think that they're legit. Maybe they are. If they beat Georgia, I will give them their props. I need to see it, though. That's an angry Georgia team coming to town. And as gross as it feels rooting for Georgia, it's the right thing to do in this one. So I would love for them to go in there and beat the crap out of those stupid Beavos. Not as much as I would have liked us to beat the crap out of those stupid Beavos, but we didn't. And now here we are at a crossroads. Season on the line. Jobs on the line. Everything on the stinking line. So, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Can we solve this identity crisis? Is this just growing pains? Is this something that is going to be worked out? I don't know, man. I thought it was going into last week, bro, but after that game, it does not feel like we are moving closer to anything. Maybe we get healthy at receiver. Maybe we get some of these guys back, and maybe we turn it around and figure out a little bit about this running game. But so far, that has not been the case. Complete disappointment. And it feels much worse than 4-2. It just does not feel good. Getting a win on Saturday, that would feel pretty good because that is a good team. 3-3, I know, but we just need something to feel good about. All right, that's enough of the doom and gloom crap. Let's go do it. Home. Back in the confines. We should be able to get a little offense going. That is not too much to ask. Okay? Let's figure it out. Start piecing it together. Another week of this offensive line. Let's get some stuff that Hawk likes and say, yes, we're going to do that. Hopefully we had some big time meetings this week. Clear objectives. No ambiguity. Everybody knows what's on the line and what they need to do. Step up for your brother. Step up for pride. Step up and grab a freaking win, okay? And then we can come back next week, feel a little bit better out things. It's not getting any easier, though. That's the other problem. Like, the last stretch is absolutely brutal, but we knew that. That's no surprise. How are we going to respond? Can we step up? Can we do what needs to be done? TBD. But I will be there rooting for my Sooners no matter what. That's what I do. That's what we need to do. We need to try to pick these boys up and hopefully help them achieve a victory. Because when they win, we all win. And winning feels pretty good. Okay? Want to remind you, Sooner State of Mind, available for subscription, Apple Podcast and Spotify. Hey, Amazon Music, play Sooner State of Mind podcast. Boom. Also, head on over to believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Go to shows. Type in Sooner State of Mind. You are locked, my friends. We have a ton of great content. Every team, every topic, everywhere. Believe.com. And if you want to watch Sooner State of Mind, why the hell aren't you already watching? But if you're not, head on over to YouTube. Search the Football Dudes. We are there. Got a ton of great NFL content too, but good Sooner content, okay? Sooner State of Mind is brought to you by Bet Online. And rain or shine, my name is Casey Mallon, and I am in a Sooner State of Mind. Be well.